All right, everybody, it's Klaus here, and what an amazing video I have for you today. As always, a tremendous amount to talk about, so I'm going to jump right into this. If you're not familiar with this channel or how I do this research, please be sure to familiarize yourself because I'm going to be moving very quickly today, but this is going to be an incredibly astounding video as far as the information that I have. So what we have here is a screenshot from Arnold Schwarzenegger's latest movie, Aftermath. So these are going to be our centerpieces for today's video, but again, pay very close attention because I feel that what I have for you is exceptionally revealing of what is to come. So let's start out here looking just a little bit at Arnold and thinking conceptually about him as an actor, where it seems like the vast majority of movies that he's in have to do with him thwarting some sort of just apocalyptic or otherwise cataclysmic threat to humanity, whether it be at the hands of some scientist, as in the movie The Sixth Day and all these cloning ideas, or in End of Days, where it's an actual, right from the Bible, apocalyptic sort of threat, where you have the Terminators, all these things. There's Arnold saving the day. Even in Jingle All the Way, he gets the damn toy for the kid. But so look here at his name, we have the letters A and S, so we have that 119 or the inverted 911, which again we've talked at exhaustive length over, but look at his two names there because they total 20 letters. Now this is the Aeon card or the Judgment card in the tarot deck, so that's going to be huge as we're moving through this today. But so take a look here for Aftermath. It was released on April 7th, so we add that date as 4 and 7, giving us 11. Again, the master number of magic, as well as the number of points on the Cliff-Off, all these things. The Statue of Liberty sits on an 11-pointed star, and it's the Lust card. But so 2017 breaks down as either the number 10 or we drop that 0 for 1. So we're left with this 1110 or the 111. So looking at that as a Jewish value, you see references to Project Monarch, remember, mind control, as well as True Holy Angel of Death, Mount Etna eruption, and Tweet, what Donald Trump has conditioned the public to be on high alert for. So notice as well here this phrase plane crazy comes up, and this is in reference to the first Mickey Mouse cartoon, which actually premiered May 15th, that 515. And so this is going to come up later on, but I did want to include that so you could just see there. And again, Mount Etna, what Typhon is said to be buried underneath, is going to be a huge piece of this presentation later on. But notice here, if we look at this as an English value, it has the same coding as Judgment / the Star, as well as Donald John Trump, Book of Revelation, all of these quotes from Lady Gaga and Lana Del Rey songs. But take a look back here. Do remember with this Economist cover, and again, I've done a whole video on this talking very extensively about this spread, but the two cards that are tilted are Judgment and the Star, which I argued meant that there is a special reading there. So again, there's a lot to be gleaned, but do notice as well here that it says Planet Trump off to the side. And one of the things I want to draw you into is remember this 1988 cover, that again, there's another video we did on this, but with this T Phoenix 10 here coming across 2018, all of that written out. But do notice that Planet Trump and T Phoenix 10 have the same values, and not only that, their simple value is 156, which Crowley said was the number of Our Lady Babylon. So this is massive, especially when you see the values have 666 written out, the number 33, again, master number, as well as above, so below. Now, again, I highly advise you go watch those videos so you can hear the full elaborations, but I do want to just, again, note that moving forward here, again, the Lawnmower Man comes up, the 9 Years' War from Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, very, very critical. Now, if we're looking at it as 111, As a simple value, you see that has an English value of 666. So again, huge songs that we've looked into over the past year here. And again, all of these concepts that I've talked about very extensively. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over for now. But do notice you do have another variation of that T Phoenix hidden in that 666 coding. Now, April 7th, the release of Aftermath, that's an inversion of July 4th. Now, I'm going to talk about that more later. We've talked about it extensively as of late here, but let's keep moving. And I want to see, so AS from Arnold Schwarzenegger, 119. If we look 119 days after the release of Aftermath, I wanted to see what date we would be on, and it turns out that it will be August 4th this year. Now this is stunning because that's the 216th day. Now break this down. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. You also have it as a simple value being the same as 2017, as well as 510 and 5. Remember from Dante's Divine Comedy, this is the apocalyptic prophet said to come forward when the days of the apocalypse are about to arise. Now again, all of this just so very stunning. But look here, 216 as a Jewish value is the same as airplane, which again is what this all starts out with. It's what this movie is about, is these planes crashing. It's based on the true events and all of that, of course. But so keep going here. We want to mirror and add it. We get 828. Now this is massive because we have not only references to Master Mason, Great Architect, Behind the 11, but this is the same as Pez theory. So it's my big piece that I put forward to you last year, telling you that it was going to remain relevant and it was going to encompass all of these huge concepts. Notice it's also the same as Donald Trump. And again, I've got a number of videos where you can go and catch up on all of this. But do notice as well that it has this 138 value, the connection to the Misfits and the Bullet EP. Again, just Google that and you'll see very quickly. But notice as well this August 5th. Now that's going to be the day after August 4th, obviously. So I'm going to talk about August 5th more later on here because I think they're both going to be very critical. But so on August 4th, there will be 149 days left. So again, you can see here how massively huge this number's been as we've been looking through. Remember, Pasadena, California is the headquarters of Jet Propulsion's laboratories. All of the information I've shown you on that. One of Pasadena's primary area codes is 91101. But again, David Copperfield, all of these huge pieces. I want you to also see King of the High Seas in reference to Luciano Pavarotti, because that will come up later on today. Again, as I told you, that very, very influential musician plays, again, a surprising role. But notice as well, Learn to Swim. These will all come up again later. But so in any case, 149, that value does have the same meaning as Skull and Bones, as well as the path of Resh. Remember, the path of the sun. What all of this seems to come back to, this solar worship, this solar phallic worship, solar serpent, however you want to look at it. But you also have references to end of the world and some very important numbers. But so now in looking at August 4th spelled out here, it's very interesting because you see the United States of America, as well as holidays honor Satan. True. You also have November Rain, which, do you remember back on my band channel, I spent a good amount of time talking about this song from Guns N' Roses. Again, the importance of that dualistic name of theirs. But notice as well an apocalyptic threat and war god. But keep moving here, because on August 4th, you see you have reference to the same coding as the Scarlet Woman. And again, this ties us right back to this 150 and 6 numbers that we have coming up from Crowley telling us about Our Lady Babylon. But so notice here, of all these things, you do get references to August 28, which you can read as a 828, which again, we were just looking at in these connections here with that 216th day and how we can get that. But that's all very critical. You'll notice notice 1638 gives us 666 Fifth Avenue. Again, I was talking about this well before Kushner became even a thing, and I'm going to show you in just a minute here how just amazing this kind of research is when done properly. But in any case, just notice how that all keeps coming back and back and back. But so jump back over to the left side of your screen here, and do notice for these codings the mark of the beast, I am the Antichrist, as well as I in the triangle, the rising of the dead, open the third eye, the reference to 4th of July. Also referencing his false prophet and the alien invasion. So again, since I've been talking about the 4th of July so much, it's so very interesting that it comes up in the coding for August 4th, this date that we've gotten here. So the time in between those two is 1 month and 1 day. It's a nice 11, or 4 weeks and 4 days. So we get a 44. If we want to add those, we get our masterful 55. So again, 32-day span. If we just mirror and add that, we have our 55 yet again. But so looking through August 4th here, and again, I highly advise you to go use the On This Day website, but I've just highlighted a few things here. You have in 1914, Germany declaring war on Belgium and Britain declaring war on Germany. You also have this the day being that Hitler received the Iron Cross. Again, IC, just like ice cream, is 9-3, that master thelemic number. But so, again, look through these, but I do want to highlight North Vietnam torpedoing the U.S. ships, the whole Gulf of Tonkin incident, which, of course, many will say was staged and a false flag to get the United States directly involved in the Vietnam War. But again, that's the whole purpose, and that's why these dates are so important, because these things do happen on them. And again, notice the number of nuclear tests on this day, and I only included a handful of them, but it's all about that energy being released. You even have incident here with the Perry v. Schwarzenegger case that was prohibiting same-sex marriage being overturned. And again, just showing you that Arnold has history on this date and that it does have a connection there. Again, so much to be said. But even look at this, just because talking about all of these kind of apocalyptic ideas, you have a plague of locusts in South Russia that prompts a state of emergency to be declared. Now, how wild is that? Now let's keep going though, because 3 days later, there's going to be a full moon on the 7th, and it's going to be the full sturgeon moon. So August 7th, 8 and 7 gives us 15. That's the devil card. And do remember, back in the Alanis Morissette videos I did, again, the very first one that was banned and remotely removed from my computer, we were talking about the full sturgeon moon and how it was going to be right before. And again, there was a lot of hectic. We actually lost our power here that week. But so a very important moon, to say the least. And so again, you can see this very important coding that goes along with that there. And I wanted to highlight it being 3 days apart, because for 3, it is the same coding as the end, as well as will, warn, and Esalen. So again, all of these massive concepts. And it's very peculiar to me because it is set to take place at 2:11 p.m., which is a very early moon, it seems to me. But so again, we're going to talk about that 2:11 here just a bit. So yesterday, there were some attacks in London. And so this was very peculiar, right? Because I haven't looked, but I'm sure that there's countless videos already claiming that it was staged, it was a false flag, this and that. Well, do remember that back in January, I talked very extensively about June 3rd. And so this video right here, which you can see was published on January 8th of this year. And even in the description, I had included all of this information talking about June 3rd, 2017 being a day to look out for. Again, connected with blood rituals. Master Builder, our 156 number, New World Order. And if you want to just be on some shit and say I copy and pasted that in there. So here you have, this is the video. And you can see at the top of the screen here, January 8th, you can go watch the video and get to right here. And you see I have all this information for you. We were talking about this back in January, that would be a day where we would see something happen, and it happened. This is why I don't follow the headlines and just report to you as everybody else reports to you about these things, because we look ahead. And no, I don't get them 100% of the time, but that's because the method isn't really designed to be 100% accurate. But do notice here for London attack, because we do have this sharing so many critical values I wanted to show you. And again, you see this purple rain coming up. And remember, we're talking about August 4th, having that purple rain released, or not released, but hitting number 1, staying there for 24 weeks. Again, the inverted cursed number. But so notice here, you have references to Rosicrucian. And again, with 211 here, just notice its symbol value does give us order of Rosicrucian, but so it just keeps coming back and back. But references to non-servium, I will not serve, as well as the path of Mem, again, it's a sacrifice. But look here, because you also have written out 15:7. And as you can see just right below here, that is the simple value for welcome home Naya, and that's an inversion of Aeon, like the devil, and we're going to talk about that in just a second here. But absolutely no coincidence that all of that connects in like this. All right, it is very, very stunning. And as I was saying earlier with the plane crazy thing and Mickey, do notice that is right here, right below all of this information that I'm talking about in that video. Again, that's January 8th that was published. So just wow. All right, just wow. It's all a joke. Look at this. So keep going here though, right? Because I do want you to see that 211, simple value, order of Rosicrucian, the architecture of God in the Ralph Wiggum book. Because again, I've been telling you that Ralph Wiggum is an allegory for Trump, I feel. And again, even with the recent thing with Kathy Griffin and the decapitation of Trump, the photo shoot there, that's just like I've been talking about with the decapitation of Jebediah Springfield and the Simpsons intro and all of those things, all right? So it just lines perfectly up there. But so let's keep going here, because I do want you to see this. This is from the trailer still, but when he's getting ready to welcome home, right, the family back, you see here he has this that he's putting up, but the name is very obscured at the bottom, but it very clearly gives us the letters NYA. And again, when people are talking about things having to do with demonic aspects, they always invert or mirror them because it's the shadow world. And so when we look at that backwards, it absolutely gives us that reference to Aeon, which again, as I just told you a moment ago, there is a reference to the devil or all of those things, the eye. So very important. I'll leave you these links. And even if you want to read it as Anne, as an Anne Rand, it's very interesting to me because apparently she's got some very strong satanic connections as well. So it's just a nice little double hitter that they put in for you there. But so do notice that that does also have the same Jewish value as the Ralph Wiggum book, but it also gives us this idea of an Israel-North Korea nuclear confrontation. Now, there's a lot of different ways that one could play out, but notice as well reference to apocalypse, a line of destruction, and the unseen world. Now, here we have again, so we were just talking about this 15:7, and remember that the Blood album from AFI that did come out on January 20th, Trump's inauguration date. So again, very important when you consider all these concepts that link into it. But so for this here, you do see None Shall Sleep. Now, this was the last song that the King of the High Seas, Luciano, performed live, and quote unquote on that, because he actually lip sync it, and it was a very big deal that that's what happened. But so in any case, these are all huge pieces. The formula of Inri, even Disgruntled Kid here. Now, why I think this is all so important is because this is from HBO's show The Newsroom, and they were talking about how the end of the United States was going to come, and they were talking with some very high level informants, but they said that it was going to be blamed on a disgruntled kid who hacked into the grid and unleashed all of these waters from the dams. And again, I tie that into this idea of quiet storm, because again, flooding taking place by an artificial means essentially there, because that would be a man-made disaster. But look, United States, 4 horsemen, grand unveiling, references to beast from the sea. Notice as well our nice number here, 64, which is the value for Thelema as well as the value of Cloud, just FYI. And notice here in the movie, this is very interesting because we just going through the trailer, he lives in house 145, or somebody lives in house 145, and that is the same coding as Order of Thelema. Now, if we want to break down that banner that he's hanging up a little more, which I do, welcome home, 7 and 4 letters, that's at July 4th, or the inversion of 4/7, the day that this was released. Either case, it gives us that nice 11 again. Notice Global Rapture Earthquake, as well as Syria Illuminati cards. So very interesting idea there, but the ES values, same as Fifth Avenue, absolutely huge, but also Flesh and Blood, Satanic Offer, Torture, the Seal of God. Very huge ideas here. Again, Lady Gaga, Joanne coming up in this, and as I showed you, again, I have a lot of videos talking about the importance of that. But so if we're looking at this NYA or Aeon, again, as it should be looked at, that Jewish value is the same as Mr. Director. Again, this is the man calling the shots in the Lawnmower Man. But this is also the same as the Magus, MK Ultra, Grand Architect. There's Lady Gaga again, and you have here the golden-haired one, which very well could be a reference towards Trump. The Thelemic phrase, so mote it be, as well as the plans of God and so forth. All right, notice the ES values on this give us CERN, US, coffee, mind, dogma, and harm. All very major. Now, notice here as well, let's take a look, because we were talking about 211 a bunch earlier, and if we just invert it, it just so happens to be a number that appears. And do notice here, again, in this trailer, you have this rose in front of this golden egg being held up by a child. The cultic symbol, I mean, they crammed it in here, just crammed it in here. You got this cross off to the side. But so notice it shows our 2 planes that are going to collide here, 112 and 616. So since they're colliding, I wanted to subtract them. You get 504, same value as 5/5, Pilgrim, and Arizona. So hold on to those. Now, 616 happens to be the number of days between when Trump was inaugurated on 120, again, also when this Blood album came out, and August 4th. Crazy, right? Absolutely true, though. April 14th this year was 112 days before August 4th, and the day after the U.S. dropped the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan. So if we were looking at April 13th to August 4th, that's 113 days. Again, 11 times 3 for 33, but 3 months and 22 days. So again, the fact that it lines up with that shows us that our August 4th date is gaining more and more leverage. But so April 14th, 414 does give us false flag as well as the law, all these references to Del Rey and Beyonce. Again, as I told you, very, very important. Now look here, because 112 on top of everything else here, 11 times 2, 22 master builder number, all those things. Arizona Bay, now remember I talked about this extensively when I was looking into Maynard James Keenan and Tool and their song, which references bits of this. But so Arizona Bay, an album by comedian Bill Hicks, released, look at this, marking 3 years since his death, because it was released alongside another performance. But again, that number 3, just like we were looking into earlier. But it says the album's title refers to the hope that Los Angeles will one day fall into the ocean due to a major earthquake. Hicks contends that the world would be better off in LA's absence. And so you see him saying all the shitty shows are gone, all the idiots screaming in the fucking wind are dead, and I love it, leaving nothing but a cool, beautiful serenity called Arizona Bay. That's right, when LA falls in the fucking ocean and is flushed away, all it will leave is Arizona Bay. And so keep that flushed away in mind, because that will come up again later. And again, I've talked about Arizona Bay extensively in the past, so go watch those videos. But so when we keep moving with this though, Arnold Schwarzenegger Aftermath is what we, and again, you can look at this here. I'm sure there are countless things that are gleaned from this, but this is how it all ends, right, in the trailer. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger Aftermath, we have this idea that the undeniable proof that Gematria works, and we get the date October 10th, 2015. And so I think I had something for that. Let's see if we can't. Here it is. So we did have multiple bombings in Turkey that day. And so I did want to highlight that was one of the events that happened. But if you notice here as well, the time between October 10th, 2015 and August 5th, 2017, the day after August 4th, is 666 days. So again, very interesting. And look at this, because we have President Donald Trump is serious, and all of these ideas with the end being connected with that star somehow. Very interesting to see that full phrase come up, how it does here. But look, for the ES values, Skull and Bones, Secret Society, the planet Saturn, Antichrist, evil United States president. You have regal magnificence of the 888, and written out here, Southern California earthquake, as well as rapture / volcanic eruptions. We get a reference to the address for the Men in Black. It's just very odd. And again, a very profound number all the way around. But so if we want to pull apart this 888 really quick here, do notice the very important connections that it shows. Elizabeth Grant is Del Rey's real name, but notice here, Donald J. Trump, David Blaine White, huge, destruction, the comet Elenin, occult Gematria, as well as the path of none, which remember, death. And we also see here reference to it's all in the egg, and nuclear weapon, and we see here the number 9. So let's take a little look here. Let's just keep moving. So Aftermath, if we're breaking down just the actual title of this, A and M, the first and 13th letters. So there's our nice 113 again, or 33 when we reduce it down, and the word is 9 letters. So take a look at this here, the Jewish value. Again, you see it breaks down to a nice 33, but 331 gives us tarot, second coming, as well as anus. Remember, this is an anagram for a sun. Remember, the 33rd chapter of the Book of Lies is called Baphomet and is talking about the worship of an ass. And in the center of that is an anus, or a sun. Again, how it's all just coded so very elaborately. All right, but I want you to see here for Aftermath, since it says morning coffee, factual, all these things. This is what draws the air traffic control away. He's getting his damn coffee, right? So anyways, you go back here and you see here the simple value of 92 for Aftermath. That is the length of the movie. And again, I've talked about this number a lot, so feel free to look through that. But what I really want to focus on here is, since anus came up, and do remember, because I talked very extensively about this So here's this and all the anagrams and all the things I was pulling up for you when I was talking about that initially. But so what I wanted to do though was remember that Sausage Party, the movie, was released on DVD on November 8th, which was the same day as the presidential election, which is also the same day that Maynard's book came out. And remember the hidden hand, remember it's called The Perfect Union of Contrary Things. All the stuff I've talked to you about with that. But so the amount of time between the presidential election and August 4th this year is 8 months and 28 days, which, as we showed you earlier, is Donald Trump, Pez theory, all those masterful concepts, right? So I'll even just pop it back for you here so you can take another look. Okay, so here's all of that for that 828, the 138, all of the very important things. All right. Even a real cup of coffee comes up in there. And so getting back down to this though, August 5th, as we were saying earlier, was another thing that comes up. So the day after the 4th there. All right. And so again, they're both very important to keep next to each other. But so August 5th has come up a lot here. I want you to see that it's come up in all of the critical research that we've been doing, because with the lip sync and all the stuff with Beyonce, we had a reference to it. And again, we saw this 158 earlier in this presentation. We'll see it in just a moment in this presentation. It's right below us there. But so you can see that all keeps coming back here. August 5th came up in my Esalen coding as well. And I wanted to note this for you because in World War II, it stated that around 11 a.m. during the Battle of Troina, Mount Etna erupted and sent lava and ash miles into the sky. So what are the odds that the mountain that we talk so much about, and you can see I have it pulled from here, erupts at 11? Again, the lust card of all these things. And notice here, August 5th is when U.S. began bombing North Vietnam, getting involved with that. But so I wanted to look at the Battle of Troina. And so notice here that value 564 is the same as Don Trump as well as groupthink. And so again, for groupthink, do remember, if you haven't seen this video I did with Erica Badu, in which it's going through essentially recreating the JFK assassination, and in the end here groupthink spills out of her head. Be sure to go and watch those videos because they give you an immense amount of insight and information on this stuff. But notice as well the fear hoax, the scheme of things, and again the number 9. But now, so here's this ES value here, same as day of be with us. And so this is again what gave us those values that were indicating that yesterday, June 3rd, was going to be an issue. But notice as well, run the world, all of these huge pieces come up, solve et coagula. But you'll also see here again so much. Just read through it. We have just this one last bit that I want to show you regarding Mount Etna. And so again, in that video, this June 3rd video, if you do remember, the very first thing that I was talking about in it was Mount Etna. And so again, talking about the importance of all of this. My gosh. All right, so keep it straight. M is the 13th letter, E is the 5th letter. We have that nice 135. Notice when we mirror and add, we get that 666. Notice all of the important things that come up with this here. But what I really want you to see is the ES values for this, because they're the same as Mr. Director, which remember came up earlier in this video for Aeon when we invert it, right? And so it's important that we see his ES values coming up for Mount Etna. And again, these ideas of conspiracy, the 88, the 411, that's Elm Street, like where Kennedy was shot, death sentence, so mote it be comes up again, as well as tombstone. All right, so I wanted you to see a little list here just so you can see the importance of these words and how they code in like that. Words starting with M and our 5 letters equal 135. So look at these huge ones: music, movie, mauve, as in the mauve zone, Kenneth Grant, mason, magic in both spellings, and money. So many of the concepts that guide everything have this 135 coding, all right? So notice here for Arnold Schwarzenegger, USA flushed away, right? Just like that reference from Arizona Bay. All right, you also have down below the inverted skull and bone numbers, but also references to the human extinction, anything is possible, and so forth. So the very last thing I want to show you here is that the film was originally titled 478, which if we look at that as a Jewish value, it's the same as Sirius. Holy, the satanic mark, the phrase in unison. Remember in my Lawnmower Man video I was talking about when Job said he breached into the other dimension, he was going to have all the phones ring in unison. IU reduces to 9-3, that master thelemic number. But so if we write 478 out and take a look at it, you do see its reference to Maynard James Keenan written fully out there. Again, these huge concepts, the wait is over and walk with me, Lord. But look, New World Order, the false prophet, number of the beast, alien human contact, the age of Aquarius, across the abyss, secret societies. You get 1212, which if we multiply gives us that true harmonic number of 144. You have the whole trinity of Lucifer, Jesus, and God. It's a very, very important piece. So in any case, please take heed to this information. It is not absolute, but it is very, very compelling. I highly advise you do your own research to see what you can continue to find with all of this, as there is much, much more. I only have a very limited amount of time that I'm able to give to these videos. So again, thank you so very much for watching. Be mindful of these dates that we put forward for you here. And as always, please, please be well.